Modifying cars is almost always a terrible idea. We get a car that's had millions of dollars and thousands of hours of R&D put into it, and we sit there and we go, you know what, I can do better than that with a shoestring budget and no knowledge. People are so used to seeing terrible broken fiberglass body kits and really loud exhausts and just generally terrible cars that we've come to associate modified cars as being a broken car. In reality, most people are trying to modify their car towards a certain goal. It's usually more power, but sometimes we'll be working towards a particular look or better handling, and there's nothing wrong with trying to make a car special to you. That said, this is my modified BMW 318IS. A lot of us will try and modify our cars cheap. We'll try and make it feel a little bit more like that car we always dream about having. We'll try and do it on our young person shoestring budget and get the best results we can. An unusual problem is that everyone wants a good cheap car, and they do exist, but the problem is they end up being popular. And as they become rarer, as they get older, they start becoming more expensive. And it's a horrible irony that a good cheap car now becomes so expensive that it's just an expensive car that's not particularly good anymore. This is an unpopular car. It's only a 4-cylinder BMW, so they weren't something a lot of people wanted, and they don't have an awesome reputation. Because of that, this car cost me about 1/3 of the equivalent MX-5. And if you're keen to fix up the interior or the paintwork, you can get one of these cars for as low as $1,500 in Australia, which is really cheap here. And it's a lot cheaper than the more popular 6-cylinder cars. If you're lucky and you're over in a much better part of the world for cars, you can get them even cheaper than that. Sure, it's not a super fast car, but they're cheap, a lot of fun to drive, they're light, and I mean, for how old it is, they're pretty well equipped. And parts are everywhere. Being an older car, you can go to a wrecker and get pretty much anything you need, and it'll cost you about 10% of what it does to get it from a dealership. I've gotten forged rims, adjustable sway bars, chassis bracing, braided brake lines, an LSD, and I've come well under the cost of more popular battered cars. I've gotten a lot of parts new as well, like I have a racing intake from RHD and a lightened flywheel. I even got myself a short shifter. This car may not be for everyone, but it's super tight, very comfy. I still use it as my daily driver. It's not a race car, but if you want to drive through some of the nicer parts of the world and feel like you're stuck to the road and be accompanied by a great induction note, then it's hard to go past something like this. When I started modifying my car, one of the things that grievously annoys me with pretty much any kind of modified car or the parts that you can buy for it is that there are a lot of manufacturers making aftermarket parts, and they all claim that they have magical powers to improve your handling or give you more power, and never any justification for it. Never see any evidence, never any proof, they're just available. And that really bugs me. Just some of the things people do to their cars and then just say it's better. I can't understand, like cutting your springs, or lowering the car so severely that there's no travel, or putting rims on that are just too big for your car, and then everywhere you go all you can hear is the rubber squeaking on the housings, and like that's a nice comfortable drive as well. All these little horrible things that actually harm the behaviour of your car. There's people saying, oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with cutting your springs, which are designed with a progressive motion so that if you cut them they don't actually behave like a spring anymore. A particularly popular style of modifying cars with BMWs is individual throttle bodies. All the BMW M cars have had it until relatively recently, and the high revving, naturally aspirated thing has always been BMW's mark. So when people want to modify their BMW, they want to pretend that they've got an M3 or an M5, and they'll go and put ITBs on it because you get that just utterly insane induction note. with naturally aspirated tuning, if you make a mistake, if you make something too big, too long, too short, too round, too square, you will lose power. And when I was looking to do this, the only thing I could find was a whole bunch of really expensive parts and no proven results. So I didn't want to do it. But through the wonders of modern technology, I was able to reach a guy named Rama who owns a company called RHD, and with his guidance, I actually started designing my own intake kit. For this particular car, there are some supercharger options available, and if you've got enough money, you can turbocharge anything. But I didn't want to go down the forced induction route. I wanted to improve what this car had. I wanted to sharpen the way that it behaved rather than completely change its character. I used to be an engineer, so I decided to put what I knew about that into designing it, and I ran an unreasonable number of simulations on the intake. So I've done all these simulations on different combinations of diameters and lengths and volumes to try and make sure that as much air as possible was getting into the engine. People always say you can't ever get more naturally aspirated, but you can. And in this case, we ended up, between some modifications to the exhaust and the intake, with 22% more power, as well as improving the torque across the entire rev range. So the car ended up having the same naturally aspirated behavior as it used to, but just more of it, and a much more fun induction note as well. And the results from the ITB kit were just so good that you can actually now buy it. Rama was really pleased with the way that it all came together, and now you can get them for your car. So if you're the kind of person who likes working on your car and you want to get something cheap that you can play around with and, you know, do little things too, it's hard to go past one of these 318 ISs, because there's now a range of like proven parts for it, and they're easy to work on, and parts are available, and the whole thing's just, it's cheap and fun and fantastic.